The Lakers dropped their second preseason game, but honestly, the score is the least important part of the story. This was all about seeing how key players are looking, how new pieces are fitting in, and who's making the most of their minutes while the big names are still resting. And let's just say it, all eyes were on Jared Vanderbilt, and he made sure people kept talking. No LeBron James, no Luka Doncic, no Austin Reeves, no Marcus Smart. That's a lot of missing firepower. But games like this give us a window into the depth of the roster, and more importantly, the energy and focus of the guys who know they're fighting for a role or even a starting spot. Vanderbilt didn't just show up. He came out flying. 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and just as important as the box score, the tone he set, the hustle, the activity, the presence. Vondo was everywhere. And what caught the most attention? That corner 3. He hit 1 and took 3 overall. Now, that's not what you typically expect from Vanderbilt, but he looked way more comfortable taking that shot than he did last season. There was a patience to it. Not rushed, not hesitant, just a confident catch and shoot. Whether he can sustain it or not over the course of a full season remains to be seen, but the improvement is noticeable. But here's the thing. While everyone's debating whether or not he can add a reliable three-point shot to his arsenal, the real focus might need to be on something else, his finishing at the rim. Because for all the conversations about spacing, floor balance, and three-point percentage, the reality is simple. If Jared Vanderbilt can't finish inside consistently, that limits how playable he is in tight playoff games. And against the Warriors, we saw a few glimmers that he's worked on it. A couple of and-one finishes, a nice up-and-under move, finishing through contact. Those are the kinds of plays that extend your minutes, especially when you're already bringing elite defensive effort. Now, no one is expecting Vanderbilt to become a two-way monster. But if he can become more than a defensive specialist, say, even a one-and-a-half-way player, that's a big win. And the idea of him starting? That door hasn't been closed. Head coach J.J. Redick didn't commit to anything, but he also didn't say no. And when you're playing next to names like LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, and DeAndre Ayton, all of whom command attention from opposing defenses, there's a lot of room for a guy like Vanderbilt to thrive doing the dirty work. The question becomes whether that starting 5 can generate enough offense to cover for his limitations. And honestly, they should. If they can't, the issue isn't Vondo, it's the system. Of course, one of the biggest variables in all of this is Marcus Smart. He hasn't even practiced yet due to injury, and the longer that goes on, the more runway Vondo has to potentially lock in a starting role. And the other name in that conversation? Rui Hachimura. But Rui's on the floor now, and Smart isn't. That matters. These early games are where impressions are made. Now let's talk about Gabe Vincent. This was his preseason debut, and man, he looked sharp. 16 points, hit 3 triples, dished out 5 assists, and moved with confidence. It was a clear reminder of what he can bring when he's healthy, which has been rare since he joined the Lakers. He's a guy who thrives with the ball in his hands, and that showed. The challenge now is finding where he fits in when the offense isn't running through him. Because once the regular season starts, the touches will be limited. That off-ball comfort zone is going to be critical. And yes, Vincent is another player who could offer some point-of-attack defense, though he doesn't have the physical tools of Smart or Vanderbilt. Still, in these minutes, he reminded everyone of why the Lakers gave him that contract. It wasn't just about spacing the floor. It was about getting a steady hand who can manage a game, hit timely shots, and give you flexibility on both ends. That version of Gabe, the one we saw against Golden State, that a guy who raises the team's floor. And speaking of raising the floor, let's get into DeAndre Ayton. If we're talking X factors on this team, Ayton might be the biggest one. And yeah, people love to throw around that term, but in this case it fits, because no one really knows what version of Ayton the Lakers are getting. If it's the disengaged, passive version we've seen at times in Phoenix, that's a problem. But if it's the guy who rebounds, protects the rim, and stays active on offense, then suddenly the Lakers have something they haven't had in a while, a real center who can do more than just stand in the paint. Ayton didn't light up the box score, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, but it's how he moved and how he tried to play within the system that stood out. Sure, There were moments where he looked hesitant, passed up shots he should have taken, or settled for something less aggressive. But there were also flashes, a couple of aggressive rolls, some soft-touch hooks, a made elbow jumper, and a lob finish. Nothing spectacular, but enough to make you think, okay, this could work. And maybe the most encouraging part? He's clearly trying to do the right things. Not chasing stats, not trying to prove anything, just focused on the dirty work. But here's the reality check. The Lakers do need him to score. They need the 10-plus points a night. They need those pick-and-roll buckets, those clean finishes, those offensive boards. It can't just be about effort and body language. He's got to produce. This team was a bad rebounding unit last year, plain and simple. Ayton helps fix that. Add in LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves, all strong rebounders for their positions, and you've got a starting unit that should dominate the glass. The only weak spot there might be Rui Hachimura, who's not a great rebounder given his athleticism. But with Ayton holding down the middle and Vanderbilt doing Vanderbilt things, the Lakers could quietly become one of the best rebounding squads in the league. And all of this, Vanderbilt's health and growth, Gabe Vincent's utility, Ayton's engagement, it feeds into one big idea. The Lakers don't need these guys to be stars. They just need them to be solid. Because the star power is already there with LeBron, Luka, and Reeves. What takes this team from top 4 in the West to serious finals contender is whether the role players become difference makers. Whether the pieces around the stars do more than just fill minutes. Let's stay on DeAndre Ayton for a second, because he's one of the few guys on this roster whose performance could truly tilt the Lakers' ceiling. There's a reason fans and analysts keep circling his name, because if he clicks, even in just a simplified role, this team becomes that much more dangerous. His numbers against Golden State don't leap off the page, but that's not the point. What matters more is how he was approaching the game. It's clear he's trying to show everyone that he's committed to doing the little things, staying within the system, and not forcing anything. But at the same time, it's okay to want a little more aggression. A few moments stood out. There was a solid mid-range jumper off a pick-and pop. Not his bread and butter, but something that could become reliable if he leans into it. Signs that he could be more than a stopgap. One thing that has to be said is Ayton looks like he's in good shape. He's moving well, staying active, and playing with a sense of purpose. For a player who's been criticized in the past for coasting through stretches of games, that's a big deal. You can tell he's heard the noise, that reputation of being a numbers guy who doesn't contribute to winning. And right now, it looks like he's taking it personally. Whether or not that translates into consistent production during the season is the real test, but this version of Ayton, the focused one, is at least the right starting point. It's also important to mention that Ayton hasn't had the benefit of playing alongside the Lakers' best creators yet. No Luka, no Austin, no LeBron. So the pick-and-roll chemistry isn't there, and the passes aren't exactly coming from elite distributors. That matters. A center like Ayton thrives when paired with high IQ guards who know how to create space and deliver clean looks. So as these preseason games continue and the main rotation starts getting more run together, we'll get a better picture of what Ayton can really do. And if the flashes we're seeing now hold up, the Lakers may have something they've been missing for a long time, a real two-way presence at the 5. Of course, not everything looks sharp. The third quarter was a complete mess. The energy dipped, the execution disappeared, and the Warriors ran away with it. And let's be real, the Lakers starters looked like they were mentally checked out the moment they realized Golden State wasn't bringing back their top guys after halftime. That kind of drop-off is understandable in preseason, but it's also a reminder of how thin the margin can be when the starters aren't fully engaged. It's not about winning these games, but about staying sharp and building the habits that'll carry over into the regular season. Now, back to the point of attack defense, something that's clearly still being figured out. With Marcus Smart still unavailable and no timeline yet for his return, the team is having to look at other options. Jared Vanderbilt has stepped up, and Gabe Vincent adds something there, even if he lacks the physical tools of Smart. Vincent made his presence felt against the Warriors, and what really stood out was his composure. He looked like a guy who knows how to run an offense, who knows where to be, and who isn't afraid to take the shot when it's there. The challenge for Vincent, though, is adapting to a reduced role. When the regular season starts, he won't be initiating the offense that much. He'll need to thrive off the ball, knocking down catch-and-shoot threes, playing within the flow, and defending hard every possession. That's a big shift from his role in Miami, where he had more freedom. Still, if he can find a rhythm in that role, stay healthy, stay consistent, he becomes a very useful piece off the bench. And when the Lakers go into those gritty, physical matchups, he's someone they can throw on quick guards to slow them down. So with Smart's health still a question mark, and Vincent looking more ready, there's a real opportunity for the Lakers to experiment with combinations. What if Vondo starts and Vincent anchors the second unit? What if Rue slides in next to Ayton and LeBron while Vanderbilt rotates in situationally? The flexibility is there. The question is how quickly the coaching staff can settle on the right mix. Another player who deserves a bit of spotlight is Jackson Hayes. He's not going to lead any highlight reels, but his preseason has been solid. He's playing stronger, rebounding better, and looks more under control. He's still got that bounce, still brings energy, but he's not getting pushed around as much, and that's crucial for someone who will likely be Ayton's primary backup. Hayes has never been a top-tier rebounder, and that remains an area where he'll have to fight harder. But he's giving consistent effort, and that's something the team didn't always get from their backup bigs last season. Rebounding, in general, looks like it could be a real strength for this team if everyone stays healthy. Ayton, LeBron, Luka, Reeves, they all bring something to the glass. And when you throw Vanderbilt in the mix, who's always hunting for boards and tip-outs, you suddenly have a team that can control the possession battle in a way they haven't in recent years. That's a massive plus, especially when playoff games come down to those extra 2 or 3 possessions. Still, everything hinges on health. That's the undercurrent to all of this. Smart needs to be healthy. Vanderbilt needs to stay healthy. Gabe Vincent, too. Ayton has to hold up. If the core rotation can stay intact, the Lakers are one of the most well-rounded teams in the conference. But if injuries creep in early, that depth will be tested fast. And while there's more depth this year than in previous seasons, it's still a fine line between a solid bench and one that gets exposed if the wrong guys go down. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, in a move that has sent shockwaves through the NBA world, Dalton Neck reportedly announced his departure from the Los Angeles Lakers immediately following last night's game. The news, which began as whispers in locker rooms and quickly escalated into a full-blown rumor across social media, has left fans and analysts scrambling to make sense of the timing and implications. Neck, who has been a pivotal presence on the Lakers roster, appeared composed, but somewhat distant. NTLY delivered standout performances. There have been reports of clashes with coaching strategies and a desire for a more prominent leadership role elsewhere. The timing of the announcement, right after the game, has raised eyebrows. Fans have taken to forums and social media platforms to debate whether this was a premeditated exit designed to maximize attention or a spontaneous decision fueled by emotions in the heat of the moment. Early speculation links Neck to several potential destinations, ranging from Eastern Conference contenders eager for a scoring boost to overseas opportunities that could offer both a starring role and lucrative contracts. If Neck's departure is finalized, it would mark a significant turning point for the Lakers, who have relied heavily on his versatility and scoring ability. Team insiders are reportedly already discussing contingency plans, though the sudden nature of the announcement means adjustments could take weeks. Meanwhile, whispers in the league hint that other teams are quietly circling, hoping to capitalize on what could become one of the most talked-about mid-season moves in recent memory. For now, the basketball world is left in suspense, watching closely as rumors swirl and analysts attempt to piece together the full story behind Dalton Neck's surprising decision to leave the Lakers. One thing is certain. The ripple effects of this announcement are only beginning, and the coming days are bound to be filled with speculation, intrigue, and intense debate over what this means for both Neck's career and the Lakers' immediate future. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.